Millions of Americans have been working from home during this pandemic, but now the COVID restrictions are disappearing. So many large employers are saying to their employees, come back to the office. Later today, Congress will consider offering many federal employees to return as well. Scott Macfarlane is in Bethesda, Maryland, with more on that. Scott, I wonder how employees are feeling about that order.
We're about to find out, Gayle. 3 years into the pandemic, a review of federal records by CBS News finds more than 1 million federal workers are working at least part of the week at home. Republicans want to bring that number back to pre-pandemic levels and bring many of those workers back to the office.
It's a Telework Monday, not so bad across the metro area with overall lower travel volumes.
When COVID arrived, a mass migration to telework followed, including for federal workers.
I love it.
Valencia McIntyre Dubose, who for 23 years has processed benefits for the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs and helped the employee union, says she's never been more efficient now that she's working from home.
You think it's helping to retain more federal workers being able to telework?
Yes, it's easier. You can get the job done. And it seems to me that by me doing the telework, I get my work done faster and easier.
The number of U.S. government employees telecommuting has more than doubled since 2018. But in a vote later today, the U.S. House, now under Republican control, is pushing a plan to bring most federal workers back as the threat of COVID is receding.
Everybody should come back to the office and do what the American people have to do. Certainly, if you're a federal employee, the standard ought to be higher.
Many private businesses are already pushing workers to get back to the office most of the time, including Starbucks, Goldman Sachs, Disney, and Apple. CEO Tim Cook explained to CBS Mornings' Nate Burleson.
You collaborate with one another because we believe that 1 + 1 = 3. And so that takes the serendipity of running into people. That doesn't mean that we're going to be in here 5 days. We're not.
The Republican chair of the House Oversight Committee argues backlogs at the IRS during tax season and slowdowns in processing Social Security checks and veterans benefits could be reduced if employees got back to the office.
As the rest of America went back to work in person, many federal workers did not, and the American people have suffered as a result.
Also weighing in are Democratic mayors of some major cities, including New York, San Francisco, Houston, and Washington, where telework has squeezed some local businesses and emptied downtown buildings.
America wins when the place where people come to join and change the world is buzzing.
But some Democrats in Congress are pushing back against the current bill.
We cannot enter a time machine and simply disappear the utility of telework in recruiting and retaining new generations of federal workers.
Advocates for the roughly 1 million teleworking federal employees say an end to telework could trigger a wave of retirements, resignations, and further backlogs.
We need an effective government to solve some of our biggest problems, and effective government means great talent. The greatest benefit of telework is that it helps us attract and keep the best people possible to serve the public.
This U.S. House plan to reduce telework will likely pass along party lines today. The U.S. Senate won't take it up, so it'll stall for a while. But Tony, House aides tell CBS News they could make this part of the negotiations later this year to prevent a government shutdown.
A lot to think about there, Scott. Thank you very much.